Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the HamCorp training manual. In this episode, we unlock Bitt, one of my favorite building blocks, and plan out the base in detail. We also set up toms and a colossal chest to centralize storage, set up our first EBFs, and craft the first aluminium. There's also a massive base refactor. I'm recording this before episode 4 goes live, and I'm going to predict that there are going to be a lot of comments telling me that the charcoal pile igniter is completely useless because I can just bulk blast my logs into charcoal. And you're right. So I'm gonna get rid of this thing. We don't talk about this. I said we don't talk about this. I want to start today's training manual by making the void extractor. And to that end, I've already made the mixer, macerator, and brewery, as you can probably hear. Currently, these are just being manually fed. It's fine. I can live with that. I'm about to do a great big rewire anyway, so it doesn't matter. Here I have my brewery. This gets filled with creosote by hand from right there, so it's not that bad. The lubricant gets sent into the mixer. The mixer also gets some water from this aqueous accumulator, and I got a tip from last video, or 2 videos ago, that said I can waterlog the leaves, and this is a lot more compact, and it looks way nicer. This looks pretty cool. So this also works for the aqueous accumulator, so that's nice. I have a pump on the front face of this mixer. Apparently you can put covers on the front face of machines in this version, and the pump is pulling in the water. And finally, this macerator is grinding gravel to make stone dust, and all of this is combined to make drilling fluid. Now I need to craft up my void extractor, and then I can start generating some coal, along with some other stuff that I'm probably just going to store for now. Or void, I don't know. Resources are infinite, so no need to worry about being wasteful. Ooh, void extractor's going. I have my first raw coal. Oh yes, I can finally make some Bitt. I do need to let this run for a very long time. Very, very long time. This is super slow. I also made some steel drums here to store the rare ore residue and the raw ore slurry, but I'm only after the coal right now. So I kind of have nothing to do at the moment, so I'm just gonna let this run for a long time, get a whole bunch of coal, make some Bitt, and then we can get to building. Ooh. In the meantime, I'm gonna walk around and think about how exactly I want to lay things out. Quick little thing about the coal that is maybe not that obvious. The best way to process it for me, in order to get actual coal, is not to directly smelt it, as I thought before, but I need to macerate it into crushed coal ore, wash this in a cauldron, and then sift it in the sifter I made. And because of the probabilities here, it actually works out to being a little bit better, about 25% better, to process it like this compared to just smelting it directly. Unfortunately, it is RNG based, so I might get unlucky and not get as much coal as I would have gotten smelting, but hey, resources are infinite. Here's something. I have just laid out the foundation for a 19 by 19 square. What am I gonna do with this square? I think you know. However, I can't do what I want to do until I have aluminium, because one of the blocks I need to use for decoration requires aluminium. So for now, I'm just gonna make a bit of a cube. Not the most interesting thing, but I have been asked many times how I do my buildings, how I plan them out. And I'm gonna be honest, I just make a cube and then I add shape to it until it doesn't look like a cube anymore. So for example, even over here, I started with just a big square, and then I kind of rounded off the edges, or angled them off using these framed slopes. These are very cheap to make, by the way, especially if you do it in a framing saw. And this is just wood. Super easy to make. And the thing about these is you place it and then you can decorate it with any other block. And in fact, if you put Bitt in your offhand, it automatically puts the texture onto the frame slope. So that's pretty nice. Anyway, since this is going to be a little bit of a work in progress for a bit, I'm just going to throw up some walls to start. I'm pretty sure you know what building this is going to be. And if you don't, welcome to HamCorp. Now, the building is under construction, and I'm just now noticing actually these frame blocks kind of look like scaffolding. It's pretty cool. Anyway, this is under construction. This is going to be the first building I build. But in order to reach the height I'm actually going for, I need to unlock the jet boots. And to do so, I need to make an advanced assembler to unlock this quest. That shouldn't be too difficult. The difficult part is just that I don't have a blast furnace, an electric blast furnace. So I'm currently not able to make aluminium, but I could pretty soon. But I don't want to rush too much, so I'm just going to vibe a little bit. If this building is incomplete, then it's incomplete. I'm not going to force myself to finish it this episode. In the meantime, I'm going to craft all of the other basic machines, because finishing off the quest book is pretty satisfying. And all of these are going to be useful, pretty much. So I'm going to craft a bunch of this stuff. I'm gonna just add it to my manual processing line over here for now. And I think I need to look into how to store this power that's produced in the carbon brushes, because I made this whole diesel setup and it's just sitting idle because I don't want to waste my diesel because I don't have a way to store the power. And I feel like the easiest way to store it at the moment might be this, the redstone flux cells. It's storing it as RF, so everywhere I go I'm gonna need a converter to convert it into EU, but that's okay for now. And then eventually I'll get access to the power substation, which is apparently not a quest, but these capacitors are related to the power substation. That is far in the future though. It's probably not even going to be in this version of the pack because it's further than I intend to go before updating. Anyway, I am going to make a bunch of these redstone flux cells. As I do that and as I establish a kind of layout for the base that I'm happy with, things around here might get shuffled quite a bit. So I'm going to try and keep up with all the changes I make once I decide they're finalized, but the base you see at the end of this episode might be quite a bit different than the base you're seeing right now. Anyway, it's crafting time. Alright, first batch of machines: an extractor, a fluid solidifier, an alloy smelter, electrolyzer, centrifuge, chemical reactor, and forge hammer. I've also just set up the very first laser nodes. These are cool. They can transfer items, fluids, and energy, and I'm using them for energy right now. To do so, I needed to make 2 energy cards, and this one has been set to extract, and I need to put it in the down face of this laser node. And there's one set to insert, and that's put in the top face, or in the up face of this laser node. So it knows to insert energy into the block that's above. Now, I made a bunch of these redstone flux cells because I thought that it would form a multi-block, but it doesn't, so instead I've just put them all in a line, and they just pull and push from each other. So eventually these will all fill up. So hey, we have a battery now. I've made 8 of them, which means I can store 2 million EU. That's a good start. Oh, also I forgot to mention, but to actually link the nodes, you need a laser wrench, and to shift right click the source and right click the target. So cool. You can also use this for other stuff, and I probably will. It's gonna make transporting things around much easier, but I don't want to rely on them too much. I feel like that's going to get confusing to keep track of every single node. Anyway, we have energy storage now, so this is going to be running basically forever, which is great. And now I can make my copper nickel coil blocks and EBF. The tower's coming along, by the way. And I've just finished crafting 42 copper nickel coil blocks. Why 42? You'll see. Probably wasn't too hard to guess, but it's for these 4 electric blast furnaces. I'm starting off with a quad. I spent some time thinking about the different parts of my base I need to build soon. This is where the HamCorp tower is going to go. If you haven't guessed yet, that's what this is. And we voted on this in the HamCorp Discord, and we've decided that my main AE2 area with all the terminals and stuff is going to be in a control tower that's facing the main tower. And that's going to go somewhere here. I want to make a full cobbleworks area, so generation of cobblestone, gravel, sand, and dust, and sifting all variants, including blackstone, except for waterlog sifting. That, I think, is going to go over here. I am going to split this into 2 parts, though. It's going to be input generation, and then it's going to be resource extraction. Right next to this, we're going to have ore processing. That goes here. And my create power gen is going to go here. And I think the create machines will have to be moved somewhere here. I also need an electric blast furnace hall. This is going to have my blast furnaces and my alloy blast smelters. That probably goes somewhere here. And this is going to need to be expandable. I also need my on-demand auto-crafting area. That's probably going to go here eventually. And finally, my farms. That goes here. Everything so far has been placed kind of in front of the tower, but more bigger stuff later on will go on the sides and behind the tower. And eventually I plan to have like a skyline visible from the control tower. Ooh, big rebuild. The create area has been completely moved. I've expanded the platform out so I can do my resource extraction over here and my ore processing over here. This is going to expand that way for when I have actual GregTech multis, but for now I'm going to do my ore processing over here. As for all the kind of on-demand create multis, I've moved them to this little workshop here. I think it's cute. I think it's pretty cute. Everything's running at max speed, so that's also pretty nice. And I managed to massively tighten up my my grinding setup. I still have to put the item pipes back into place, but this is way more compact than it was before. Now with laser IO, I'm going to move some stuff around, like the gravel, the sand, and the dust, and I'm going to send it to the sieves, which are going to go over here. I've also completely run out of bit and coal, so I think that's all the building I can do today. Also, building has made me realize I really need flight before I do more, so part of me wants to just rush the jet boots. It's not too far. I think I could do that today. I just need to build out a little platform where my EBFs are going to live, and at least mentally zone it off as a building. I also need to make my control tower still. A lot of stuff needs to happen. In order to help with logistics and centralizing my storage, I've made a colossal chest. This is made with just wood, so it's super duper cheap. I've also been told that it can chunk ban me if I make it too big, so I'm going to make it 5x5x5. And effortless building is going to truly make this effortless. It's pretty nice. So here's 5x5 by 5. And I need to place one core and one interface, which I think I'm going to put in the front actually. And this makes a colossal chest. Why is it facing this way? I have no idea. Probably because the core is here. Yeah. Well, I do want it to face this way, so I'm going to put the core over here instead. Look at this big chest. It has a lot of storage. A whole lot of storage. In order to interface with this chest in a nicer way, in a wireless way even, I'm going to use Tom's Simple Storage mod. So I need to make a storage terminal, inventory connector, and wireless terminal. Pretty easy to set up. I have the inventory connector touching the interface on the colossal chest, and then I put a storage terminal on it. And now it's just like an AE terminal. It's pretty nice. I know there's a crafting variant as well. That's also really nice. I should upgrade this. It's not exactly what you think it is. For example, if I go here and I right click, nothing happens. But what it does, it extends the reach that I have when it comes to interacting with the terminal. So I can interact with this from here, like that. But I can upgrade this to an advanced wireless terminal. And this, I think, works as expected. It just needs a little bit of steel. Yes, indeed. With this thing, if I just shift right click the storage terminal, it binds it, and then I can go up to 64 blocks away, which is pretty far. Look anywhere, and open the terminal. That's pretty nice. Even better than that, if I make a beacon, even a level 1 beacon, that makes the terminal accessible from anywhere in the same dimension. And if I make a level 4 beacon, I can access it from anywhere in any dimension. That's pretty cool. Pretty overpowered too, but that's fine. Anyway, this should make doing things around the base a lot more chill. I need to move all my storage into this colossal chest though. Here is a quick little blast furnace haul I've made. I'm going to put my EBFs over here. There's going to be quite a few, I think. I'm going to leave the roof for when I have the jet boots so I can fly up and do it more easily. But I promise, I'm going to do it. I'm not just going to leave it. Definitely. Now, let me show you the objectively best way to place electric blast furnaces. You do a little thing like this. Mufflers in the center. 2 layers of copper nickel. Controllers on the side. Rotate them. Energy hatches. Maintenance hatches. And this cross is where you can share your inputs and outputs. I'm going to quad share my input bus, and I'm going to double share my output bus. And then the rest of the heat proof. Cool. Done. The best way to make your electric blast furnace, because you don't have to break your neck looking up to interact with all the hatches. Isn't that so nice? And as a little treat, it makes it an even by odd footprint, which is cool. Now to continue building, I need to get the jet boots, which needs me to make an advanced assembler. This of course needs aluminium. And how am I going to get my aluminium? Sodalite, because The void extractor generates sodalite. So I'm going to process this stuff. I totally expect the sifting way to be the best way to do it, but I think that's just going to take forever. Yeah, 20 seconds per ore. That's, I don't know if that's worth my time. To be honest, even with the raw coal, I stopped sifting it. I just started smelting it to save time. But I will definitely be macerating it to double the output. That is definitely worth it. So I'm going to double macerate it and then very quickly process it into dust. And then electrolyze it for chlorine, which is, I think, our first source of chlorine so far. And aluminium, and some other stuff. Sodium and silicon. While that's processing, I'm also going to get some cobalt, make myself a cobalt brass buzzsaw blade, basic cutter, and basic gas collector. I'm not going to set up the basic gas collector just yet, but I'm going to make it and put it in storage for later. And while I'm at it, maybe I'll make the electric ore factory and the rock filtrator as well. There's so much to do in LV. I don't really want to rush MV, but I really want the jet boots, so okay, back to work. I'm also making myself some soul-infused glass, because I need that to make LV upgrade kits, which is something I need, actually. I want to hook up my EBFs, and I'm going to use advanced laser connectors to do so, but the throughput of these redstone flux cells is not that high. Each one is at most 1000 RF per tick, which is 250 EU per tick. That is not enough. A quad double-hatched EBF is going to use 16 amps of LV. That is 512 EU per tick, so I need to double the throughput of these redstone flux cells in order to be able to use them for the EBFs. And that is exactly where the LV upgrade kit comes in. Wait a minute. I'm silly. It's not the LV upgrade kit, it's these. It's the ULV stabilized RF coil kits. These are what I need. Oh, these are way cheaper. Well, I've made these upgrade kits anyway, or I can, and I will. I know they can go on these things, the Sterling Dynamos and stuff, to make them more efficient or whatever, so it's not a waste of my time to do this. It's fine though. I think I'm going to make the expanded RF coil kits because they're balanced. 4x capacity, 4x transfer. Well, I don't know, maybe I want the high flux actually. 2x capacity, 6x transfer. I think that's actually more useful to me. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make 6 of these, or 8 of these, how many ever cells I have. Surely that wasn't a confusing part of the manual. Good luck, employee. I did not realize how dark it is in here. It's probably really hard to see. Yeah, I need to get some lights. I think I might add an anti-blocks mod, so that I can add anti-blocks, which look really nice. This is a pretty bland building. It's just like black with some skylight. I do need to add a little bit of color in here and some light. Though I guess night vision would solve that too. I don't know when I get night vision. Anyway, here are my high flux RF coil kits. I'm gonna put them on this redstone flux cell. And yeah, now it can transfer 6,000 RF per tick, which is 1,500 EU per tick. So that is more than what I need. I also need to make these a bit more accessible to myself. Oh shit, there's 9 of them. I only made 8. Okay, one more. Got a whole lot of aluminium to smelt now. Also a big bunch of chlorine. I need to store this in a tank or something. I've also wired up the EBF. Let me show you how I've done this. So over here at the end of my redstone flux cells, I have a node that connects to an advanced connector. That has been connected with this laser wrench to this advanced connector. It doesn't need to be in a straight line or anything like that. That connects to this node, which connects to this LV 16 amp energy converter. And then I have a bunch of 4x soul infused wires going to all of the energy hatches. So these are all working now. And of course in the nodes I have my energy insert and extract cards. I don't know if I need both, but I've just been putting it anyway. Anyway, these EBFs have maintenance issues, and I have a bunch of tape from a quest, I think. Yeah, I bought a bunch of hatches and buses, and this comes with some tape. So I'm going to tape up these maintenance hatches, and now there are no more maintenance issues. So this is ready to go. Now ideally, I would put some nitrogen in this to make it go faster, and because it goes faster, it saves on EU. But that doesn't really matter because my EU generation is more than sufficient for this. So I need to put a program circuit in here apparently, which is kind of surprising. Okay, chucking in this aluminium now, and it's all running. Super nice. This bit takes way too long to mine. Also the smoke that's being put out here is glorious. Take a deep breath. That right there is the smell of progress. And here is the first aluminium. Now, to make the MV machine hull, I need copper cables. And these have to be made in an assembler. I can't just wrap a wire with some rubber sheets. I need to use actual liquid rubber for the first time. And I'm going to make that in a chem reactor using raw rubber pulp and sulfur dust. And the raw rubber pulp I'm going to get from extracting sticky resin. And in fact, I already have. So here is the first liquid rubber coming in. I know I can do this with Create too. This is what it would have made, which is maybe a bit better, so I probably should have invested in it, but it's the age of Greg Tech now. I've also made an empty steel cell for handling fluids. I think that's going to be pretty useful for these weird amounts of fluids. And okay, let's make some cable. That gives me my very first MV machine hull. So I'm technically an MV, but I'm not really ready for it. I want to stay in LV a bit longer. And finally, to make the advanced assembler itself, yeah, this is a bit painful because sure, the pistons and robot arms and whatever need a bunch of cupronickel and copper and aluminium and magnetic steel, that's fine. The problem is the MV circuits. These are pretty expensive, and it would be much better for me to use a circuit assembler to make these. Not only that, I need some diodes, which needs silicon wafers, which needs monocrystalline silicon boules, which needs a whole bunch of LV infrastructure. So, no rushing for me. I'll be back next time with more LV. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will obtain the jet boots by crafting a lot of LV infrastructure so that we can make an MV assembler. We will also continue slowly building the base and start to set up some passive generation lines for dust and chemicals. If you would also like to vote on critical HamCorp decisions, such as what color my backpack should be, you should do so in the company Discord channel. See you next time.